And welcome to Shadow Era, my Lone Wolf deck commentary thing. Not sure what to call this. Deck breakdown? I don't know. Post your ideas for names down below. I'm not going to be able to come up with one for this. This is kind of an impromptu thing anyway, so we'll see how many more of them I actually make. This is a breakdown of my State of the Lone Wolf deck whenever I was facing that Gravebone in the previous video. You'll see, it's the one this is a reply to. I'm not even sure where I'm going to put this one on my page. I might have to make a new playlist for it, even though I already have umpteen million. I'll just make a Shadow Era miscellaneous playlist. Anyway, this is the Darkclaw deck. Obviously, we got Darkclaw here. This is my foil one. It was my second foil, so there's a little bit of irony there considering... Well, not irony. You'd expect it. A little bit of a neat thing there, considering how often I play him on my channel. Anyway, with this deck, the main point is controlling the enemy's creatures while dealing as much damage as possible. You're essentially pulling a direct damage play against someone and trying to keep their creatures from interfering as much as possible. You've obviously pretty much every card in the... Actually, every card in the deck you have 4 of except for the hero. You've got the core cards, which are your speed strikes, which basically allow you to hit twice per turn. That's going to maximize his damage outputs. Without a doubt, it's the most important card as far as his damage output goes. Even more important than what weapons you choose. Speed strike is a must for dealing out. Now, I have extras. I can sacrifice them. I like having 4 of them because, well, as I mentioned before, sever ties. Now, Terra Dune, you don't really stand much of a chance with this deck because it is 2 attachment reliant. You also have the other extremely important core card, which is the Lone Wolf, which I should probably pop up Speed Strike for you real quick just so you can actually see it. There you go. I should probably pop them up while I'm talking about. The second core card of this deck is the Lone Wolf itself. The card this deck is named after. I got it right. Anyway, this is the other attachment on your Darkclaw that is extremely important. It heals you at 2 points per turn, and this is one of the reasons why a lone Darkclaw will beat a lone Moonstalker. It's one of the few things that that can beat a lone Moonstalker if you're playing a solo hero versus solo hero thing. The other thing is, of course, Terra Dune, because he can get rid of your lone wolves. The Moonstalker just simply can't do enough damage to your Darkclaw if you have this out. Whereas the Darkclaw, due to his shadow ability, which I'm going to go ahead and pop over here, the little +2 damage on that thing is one of the reasons why Darkclaw can beat the Moonstalker. Anyway, this is one of my favorite card arts in here because he's sitting there playing with an iPad. I can imagine how frustrating that is with claws. Now, the key point to this card and a solo hero deck is the fact that you can't have any allies and have it heal you. Now, if somebody steals this card from you, you will want to use Captured Prey on one of their damage reduction creatures such as Gargoyle or Sandworm. Those Prey, they have those in their deck because, yeah, that'll let you keep them from healing from it, which is an important little asset. For me, they usually do steal either my Lone Wolf or my What Big Teeth. Captured Prey, and I actually should finish covering the core things first. Here's your What Big Teeth. This is the quintessential Wolven weapon. It's 1 damage, and on the side it's listed as having 99 durability. I haven't had a chance to actually test if it's an actual just hidden durability or if it really is without durability, which would be... It would make sense if it was without durability. Of course, it would also make sense to have it just have an insanely high number for durability. I need someone to test that with me, and a lot of acid jets. And I forget what the other item is. It's a low quality, I believe is what it's called. Anyway, this is your core. You may draw your other weapons, which in the case of this one I have Fangs of the Predator. Fangs of the Predator is my alt weapon. It's my higher damage output. It's my special case. I'll sometimes switch in... here, I can actually scroll over to them. The weapons. There are choices for other weapons. Uprooted Tree is my choice if I'm running into a lot of armored opponents. Fangs of the Predator is best for unarmored opponents and quick damage. It is your highest damage weapon as a Wolven, and it's got 4 durability as opposed to the Sliver's 2 durability. And this has the sad side effect of losing 1 shadow energy, so that's one reason I don't use that. The only other weapon you really have is going to be Jeweler's Dream. Not at all useful for this deck. At least not in my opinion. Jeweler's Dream would be more for a Moonstalker, where you have to be using cards more frequently. This deck, once it has out the 4 essential cards, which the Lone Wolf, the Speed Strike, and the What Big Teeth, as well as our lovely little Evil Ascendant, which I will cover in a little bit because it's not essential, but it provides that edge, and I also use it in my Majaya deck for a reason. And the Ascendants are horribly underused cards, which is sad, but yeah. But once you have those out with this deck, you don't need the extra resources. You could play the entire game with 5 resources, and heck, if you used Uprooted Tree, 4 resources, because Fangs of the Predator is your highest cost card in here. Most of these are 3. In fact, all but 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 of your cards, well, 20 of your cards are going to be 3 resource, flat out. Now, as far as armors go, I don't use armor in this deck. I have in the past, and I do sometimes still throw it in there. There are different armors that you can use. If you're using a bunch of alt weapons, Moonlight Bracers are actually kind of useful. They keep your weapon in play a little bit longer, especially if you are able to strategically break your armor through proper use of your abilities and keeping enemies on you. I don't use it that often anymore. It was one of my starting choices for it, and it's actually cheap. It is dirt cheap. It is the same price as your What Big Teeth, so it's an early 2 defense. It's only 2 durability, but that 2 defense helps out a lot early on, especially for 3 resources. They'll stop most 3 resource creatures. Most, not all. Definitely worth looking at. As far as your more expensive options, Wrath of the Forest, completely useless for a Lone Wolf deck. If you're going to be using creatures, definitely worth considering. It's low defense, but it's high durability. And yeah, don't need to say much on that. Crescendo is one of the most popular ones for this deck. It's got 6 durability, so it can last up until it pops, and it increases its defense each turn. Once it hits 5, it destroys and it kills all enemy allies. It's actually quite useful in a number of decks. I don't use it very often because you have that timer, and usually if I'm waiting that long for enemies to disappear, that means I'm having a serious problem or there's 4 sandworms out. And if there's 4 sandworms out, I should be using 4 captured preys, not wasting it on Crescendo. And I like Crescendo. I love Crescendo, actually. It's a very, very nice card. It's just, it doesn't fit into my theme for this deck right now. I'll throw it in there if I switch to a more defensive control-oriented setup. With Shadow Armor, this is a buyer beware. Kind of like the Shard for Elementals. Extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Especially against an ally deck. If you have your Lone Wolf out and you're able to keep that field under control and they're not direct damage, this card will be amazing. It fills up your shadow energy. You get 1 shadow energy per turn. So if you kill 1 enemy each turn, you will have enough shadow energy to continually keep using your ability each and every turn, but you're losing 2 life each turn. That is the power of Shadow Armor. You have to keep killing allies, you'll keep losing life, but you regenerate just enough to keep this under control. It's one of my little secret sidebar kind of things for this deck. I keep that one in mind a lot. Now, back to the cards that I actually have up here, since I'm done talking about weapons and armor. Choose your secondary weapon with care. There's uses for each of them depending on what you're doing. With Lone Wolf, I have to say Jeweler's Dream is the only one that doesn't have any use. This is your best... I would say this is your best bet for a speed drop early on. That's the only advantage of the Sliver of Shadows. I wouldn't use it. You have What Big Teeth. It's the same cost. It's 1 less damage, but it doesn't break. I don't like Sliver of Shadow for this deck. Only ones I usually switch out are Uprooted Tree and Fangs of the Predator. Anyway, now we have, if you don't have Master Smiths, definitely choose a second alt weapon. This will give you, that would give you 12 weapons in the deck instead of what I currently have, which is 8. Master Smith allows me to bring back one of my weapons for 4 resources. If you have 9 resources, you can cast that and the Fangs of the Predator, which isn't uncommon with this. Although what I prefer to do is have 7 resources and use Master Smith and What Big Teeth. Bam. You can drop the Fangs of the Predator out 1 turn. The next turn, after you've probably worn it completely out, drop the Master Smith and your What Big Teeth. Oop, clicked on the wrong one. Over. There we go. The Master Smith is strategically... it's kind of hit or miss. You have to know when to sacrifice it. If you watch my videos enough, you'll see when I choose to sacrifice it. I'm going to save Evil Ascendant until last. The Shadow Font is just a personal edition. I like it because it gives me an instant free extra use of my ability. That's the main reason I keep it on there. And it's saved my butt several times, as you've seen in the videos. If I didn't use Shadow Font, I would almost definitely throw in Shadow Armor, just because you want to keep that shadow energy flowing. Full Moon, I think it's essential for the deck. It is a cornerstone if you can use it to your advantage. It is great for breaking enemies' weapons. It's great for delay if you happen to lose your weapon and need to keep them off of you for a little bit. It is destroyable by quite a few means, but it is powerful. It's easily, in my opinion, one of the most powerful delay cards in the entire game. And if you happen to use it in an ally deck, it has that nice little +2 attack for allies, which is very powerful. It's insane. Regeneration, that's my mage counter. Mages, if you're listening to me, make the wolf burn their regenerations. Most wolves have 4 of them. This is like an obvious choice for most wolf decks. There's actually a lot of decks that don't use it for good reason, but make them burn it. Drop one of your poisons, drop one of your burns. Keep those on them, and keep them having to use the 3 resources to regenerate. Most of them will waste it even if they're only down 2 life. That's a good strategy if you're a mage to drain out regenerations. A smart wolven person will wait until they're around 18 life. Sometimes I'll push it down and say, okay, I'm not going to use it until I'm below 12. Depends on what the opponent has. I'll use regeneration varying depending on the opponent. For mages, if I think they might have 4 fireballs, which is kind of hard to pull out, but I've done it before and I know it can be done, I'll use it whenever I hit close to 16. For most people, I'll wait until I'm below 12, because it's hard to deal that much damage in 1 turn without it being somewhat projected. Captured Prey is... I don't know if I mentioned this one already. I don't have a little script in front of me. I'm just kind of going with it. Is my tool for handling the people who reduce damage. The sandworms, the gargoyles, the things with... I forget the name of the card. I don't ever use it. Where is it? I'm gonna have to... Oh! Accidentally closed the window. Sorry about that. I think it might be a human-only ability. It's reinforced armor. I just remembered what it's called. It's a human ability. Now, if you need a draw engine, use Bad Santas, by the way. Do not use Bazaar. The whole point of this deck is to keep the other person from drawing. You don't want them drawing very much, because they will overwhelm you. Once you're set up, you want everything shut down. And to do that, you can actually throw in... Where is it? There it is. Shriek of Vengeance. Very powerful little card. Gets rid of most draw engines. Most draw engines. Not all of them, but most. And will serve you well. If you're really worried about enemy armors, you can throw in Leyline Nexus. Obviously, I'm trying to keep it slim. 41 cards. Now, let's go into the card that I was going to save for last. The Evil Ascendant. You don't see these very often. I love this card. And I get pissed off at Good Ascendant. And it disappoints me that you don't see them more often. They can even be used in ally decks, if you know what you're doing. They are a... I obviously don't use them in ally decks because I'm not that good with ally decks. But they are dangerous. If left unchecked, they can keep an entire field within a controllable range. Even though if you only have What Big Teeth out with this deck, that you can only do 6 damage per turn. 6 damage. In the grand scheme of things, that's a fireball and a half. That's at your standard optimum with What Big Teeth, not your alt weapon. That's a decent amount of damage, but not great. And you have it from one source, an attack. Straightforward. Easily preventable. This helps you keep that control. And also deals with some of your biggest problems, especially with shadow units and protectors, because it bypasses protectors, because it hits everybody. The way it helps you is, let me show you some of the most dangerous things for you to run across. Shadow Knight, 4 life. Deathmage Thaddeus, 4 life. Wolven Tracker, 4 life. Let's see. Bad Wolf, 4 life. You notice there's a lot of 4 life. There's only a few that aren't. Like Chimera. I probably just horribly butchered that. And even things against like Plasma Behemoth, which is a deadly thing to leave alone. I will usually use Captured Prey on them. I use Captured Prey on Plasma Behemoths and Infernal Gargoyles, which is one of the few units that can ignore Evil Ascendant. But yeah, a lot of these, 4 life. That, at the end of the person's turn, whenever they've cast that creature, before it can even attack, will drop it down to 3 life. That's 1 attack with What Big Teeth. If you happen to have Fangs of the Predator, you can take out the 5 life ones, like the Molten Destroyer, and the Plasma Behemoth, and the Chimera. Chimera. There, I pronounce it right. Obviously, you have Brutal Minotaurs, which you'll want to kill just by hitting them twice. But yeah, that card brings them within range of controllable. A lot more than you would really realize. Without that card, Thaddeus takes 2 hits. Shadow Knights take 2 hits. All these cards take 2 hits. And these are some of the most common ones you've seen in enemy shadow decks. Yeah, that's essential to this, in my opinion. And it's also one of the reasons why I use it on Majaya. With that card, Majaya, her ability deals 3 damage. With Evil Ascendant, you've done 4 damage in 1 turn. Same as Eldwin, and you get to draw a card. This is one of the reasons why I think this is probably the most underappreciated card in the game. If I do card reviews, this is definitely going to probably be one of the first ones I do, because I absolutely love that card. Anyway, I said I was going to include a footnote as to how a Gravebone can counter a Lone Wolf. Let's go ahead and... I have a crap deck on here. I was just horsing around. Let's clear that. Anyway, no making fun of what was in my Gravebone deck. It's very old. I haven't really played it. Let's go ahead and add that. Okay. Here's a list of all the cards that Gravebone has. Things that you're going to want to counter a Lone Wolf deck. Sever Ties. Very important. This is if you're explicitly countering this deck. You want Sever Ties. You want Bazaar. Believe it or not. Unless you... Bazaar is kind of the secondary choice. Usually I'll have 2 Bazaars and 4 Tomes. If I get a Tome out, guess where the Bazaars are going? Right into my resource pool. If I get a Bazaar first turn, second turn, I'll use it. Against the Lone Wolf. I should emphasize this is against the Lone Wolf. Now, the armor you want? Snow Sapphire. Straight up. Plain and simple. Snow Sapphire. No other armor really matters. Just Snow Sapphire. The rest are just useless against him. This armor pisses me off. Now, you'd think you'd want Leyline Nexus against him. No. Against a Lone Wolf, you want Shrieks. This is because the primary weapon of a Lone Wolf is the teeth. If you are a... doesn't matter what kind of deck you are. If you're facing a Lone Wolf, get rid of those What Big Teeth. Do not waste it on my Evil Ascendant. If I don't have teeth, I'm not going to be killing all your creatures. I'm going to be killing them slowly with Evil Ascendant. Yeah, they'll go away eventually, but you're going to get several hits on me. And I'm not going to be able to do anything if I don't have any weapons out. Plain and simple. And this actually destroys all but one of the Lone Wolf's choices for weapons. That was very weird light flashing outside. Anyway. Distracted. Now, some other useful things against a Lone Wolf deck. You have Drain Power, which will shut down his ability. And you have Urgent Business, which keeps them from attacking. These are all very important things. And as a mage, Portal will help you. It's plain and simple if you're using allies. That's fairly straightforward. As a mage, you have Engulfing Flames and Poison Gas. These 2 cards, while the Lone Wolf can ignore them to an extent, are a little hidden gem for you. If he doesn't have regenerations, those are going to counter the Lone Wolf ability. One of each. Just pop right on him. Nothing can happen. If he has regenerations, drop 1 on him. Start hitting him down a little bit. Guarantee you, whenever he starts getting low, he'll use regeneration to get that off. Immediately drop another 1 on him. This makes him burn out his regenerations. This makes it, if he gets Lone Wolf out and ignores it, he'll be regenerating less per turn. You want that. You want him to slow down his healing, because Lone Wolves are the fastest healers in the game. Now, if you're facing one, and you know for sure it's a Lone Wolf, and you have, as any mage, good mage should, fireballs. Hold on to him. Hit him with your creatures, hit him with other spells, attack him with things. Ping him down. Get him down to in the teens. But hold on to your fireballs. Don't use them right off the bat. Don't use them to bring him down. Use your lightning strikes. Use your supernovas. Of course, you can also save a supernova for a last hit to force a draw, too. But you want to save your fireballs because they are your most damage per resource tool. If you're a human mage, you can also save your Christopher Wilds for a drop. Because they're 1 resource, 1 damage. Which is almost as good as a fireball. And they stick around. I'm trying to think what else. But yeah. Here Be Monsters is completely useless against a Lone Wolf. You basically want to disable him. Plain and simple. This is absolutely useless. Don't even think about it. I know at least one person looked at it and was like, hey, that stops attacks. No, it only stops ally attacks. But all your control cards are going to be completely useless. Except for that armor and your direct damage spells. And also, if you're a creature-based and ally-based, mage, bring them in swarms against the lone wolf. If you only bring 1 or 2 a turn, he's going to dispatch them. That's playing right into his 2 attack limit. He can only target 2 creatures per turn. Or he can target a creature in you. That's his limit. Use that against him. Bring out 3 death bones in 1 turn. He kills 2 of them. He takes 4 damage. The next one gets to attack. He can't kill all 3 of them. Bring out 4 fire snakes, for God's sake. That's at least 4 hits. You've got to keep him going. Molten Destroyer, slightly useful. It deals 1 damage whenever he... Actually, it's very useful if he doesn't have a weapon. Because it'll survive for 5 turns, dealing 1 damage to him each and every turn. If he's using Dark Ascendant. Very nice little hidden thing there. You can play with him by cycling your Shadow Knights, of course. That's a common strategy. And Dark Flares. If you can get the attack off, very useful. If you can't get the attack off, don't bother. Plain and simple, because the Darkclaw ability keeps them from being able to be countered. I've probably rambled on for a while now. I don't know what my time is sitting at. Oh, 28 minutes. Holy crap. Oops. I went a little bit over. Anyway, that was a really long video, and I apologize. If you sat through that, kudos. The alternate series I'm actually thinking about doing are strategy series, and they're probably going to be a little bit longer. So, I'm not a top class player, but I like dissecting the cards. Looking at different possible uses of them. And, yeah. This has been Alzorath. This is a bonus episode. Chances are, if I do evaluations of specific decks or cards, they'll be a little bit... specific cards, at least, they'll be shorter. Decks, probably much longer, with footage and all that stuff. So, yeah, I will see you guys next time. Keep gaming, have fun. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. If you want to see more of these, definitely comment below. Don't just like for that one. Comment below, because these take a while. And I will try and script them together a little better if I do future ones. Anyway, peace out. This has been Alzorath. Bye.